we're on. And I'm with DJ Das, a founder and CEO of ThirdEye Data. Hello, DJ.
Hello, Jan. Thank you for having me. It's a
You're
pleasure and an
welcome.
honor.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the Positive Habits podcast. So we're going to be talking about all things data, DJ, today, aren't we? And hopefully talk about a bit about the impact of AI as well onto that. But before we get into the weeds of technology, how did you, DJ, get into this business, and how did Third Eye come about?
Good question. Good question. So basically, I'm based out of the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, for the last 28 plus years. So when I was in the Bay Area, I was seeing like a lot of data deluge happening, a lot of data getting generated by various companies, maybe enterprise or consumer, doesn't really matter. But the volume and the complexity of data was growing. I'm an angel investor in the Bay Area too, so I invest in many startups that were handling data. So the product that the startups were selling was how they would handle data. So all in all, I knew that the data tsunami is coming. And that's when I founded Third Eye in 2010, 2011 to actually solve data challenges. So Third Eye's genesis is based on the big data wave that was coming in, and knowing that there are not too many technologies and much less number of people who can actually handle big data and can analyze big data and can derive business value out of it. That's
Yeah.
how Third Eye was formed.
Yeah, great. And so obviously, I started out with things like dataries when I was a kid, and these really simple kind of programming environments for building a database. Then it went on to SQL, and we thought, well, we've got the holy grail here. And of course, when big data came into the picture, I think a lot of people just didn't really get it. You know, going back to a flat file structure and moving away from relational databases seemed very alien. Do you think people get it now, or do they get the concept of it? What do you think they understand really what big data is?
What I did here in the Bay Area is I started a meetup group called Big Data Cloud. The whole
Right.
focus of that group was not sales at all, but it was to evangelize about big data, about how to handle big data, and how to derive value out of it. So
Yeah.
I would invite speakers, again for no commercial transactions, to come and speak
Yeah.
out of their heart about what they understand about big data. So my point was I was sincerely trying to let people be aware about big data because they were not really aware about it, much less understand how to deal with it and how to derive value out of it. But over time, I'm very happy to see that people have started to understand the value of data in an enterprise. They now know that data is gold of this age, and they now have started to put up funding around data. So that's why I see that generally, and now with the advent of AI, they're being very impatient in terms of how they want to use AI in their company. But the moment they try to implement AI in their company, they then get a rude shock that, hey, that data is in such a shape and form that it cannot be actually consumed in AI or BI. So
Yeah.
that has actually driven more funding and more focus around getting their data landscape in shape before they can even think about doing any AI. So generally, yes, the understanding around acceptance of data quality and data in the environment has increased.
Got it. And is it your view that every business of a medium to large size should have a big data platform of some sort? Is that? Do you think it fits everybody?
Yes and no, meaning what's the data platform, right? So I really don't think that you need to have a lot of expenses in actually maintaining and hosting a data platform for your own. I think everybody definitely needs a data strategy. Everybody definitely needs a data architecture, needs a data platform, but it doesn't have to be so big and so expensive. Don't have to go overboard with our expenditures on data management, but we have to have a conscious effort to make it happen inside that enterprise and have a data governance policies around it so that the data continues to grow but at a controlled level and in a managed manner.
Got it. And I think what I see is a lot of organizations they've already got a lot of data that they could potentially reuse and get the most out of, but it's in silos. It's probably in separate systems. What is your recommendation for businesses that are literally at that ground level where they've got different systems with different data. What's the process that they should be thinking about, DJ?
Yeah. And this is very common. What I've normally seen, larger companies who are once smaller, they did not actually focus on their data landscape at all. They just grew at a pace which was not very easy for anybody to maintain and manage, which is not a complaint against them, but it's just how the business works. But
Yeah.
what I've done, at least in my company, is like right from the very beginning, we had a very data focused approach to everything that we were doing in the company. Everybody in the company understands how to deal with data, how to work with data. And then I definitely have the technologies that I have enabled. So, first of all, you have to have your people be aware of data, be aware of how to use data. Secondly, there has to be processes in place that help them manage and be more productive with this data. And thirdly, and which is kind of least importantly, the technology should be there to enable them to work with data. Uh, Basically, a data culture should be inculcated into the company right at the very start, right at the very beginning,
And what
or as
about
soon as
companies that?
possible.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but what about companies that don't really have a data culture as such? I see a lot of managers that are spending an awful lot of time manually hand cranking reports, and there's almost like a kind of a culture of it's just a norm and cost of doing business that you have to do all this reporting, but they're not necessarily driving their business through actionable insights. They haven't really got those actionable
Hmm.
insights, and they can't really ask the new questions of their data because they just don't have the data in the right format to do that. I mean, are you battling that cultural appreciation that data, being data driven as a culture, is a really important thing?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, basically, many companies I've noticed what happens is they do know, they do have the data landscape in place, the data culture in place, and they are definitely using data in some reporting purposes, which is good. At least they have the base framework set up. But what they are not doing is making it part of the decision making process.
Yeah,
Decisions are still more perceptive than they believe this is the perception about how the business is going to be, and they might have seen some dashboard here and there that could support their perception, but that is
yeah,
not how you can make decisions which are based out of data. So having like AI here is that important aspect where AI can predict, forecast, hold your hands, recommend, tell you what to look for and what to not to look for, where to focus, where are the kind of red flags and all that. So a human brain can only assimilate and compute as much, but AI can do it much better for you.
yeah. And in terms of the big data platforms, DJ, I think a lot of companies would understand the difference between structured data and unstructured data. And many companies are still using hard copy documents and forms in their businesses still. I mean, is there an opportunity to leapfrog some of this kind of development and innovation with the new technologies like big data that are offering?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I have a product called Optera that exactly does this. So basically, my point is there are so much of documents, there are paper documents, handwritten notes, faxes, which are still lying around. Meaning we might be in the 21st century, but still this is just amazing amount of documents or information or data that is stuck in all these things. So the good thing is
Yeah,
my platform, for example, Optera, we use GenAI technologies, and what it does is it does kind of an OCRing of these documents, but it now knows what it is. OCR technology does not know that DJ Das is the name of a person, but this AI technology knows that and can then do the backend processing accordingly. So that's why a
right.
document processing system can actually bring in all this kind of data that's stuck in all these physical documents into the enterprise environment.
And can you give me some examples of kind of use cases as to the sorts of business that would find that useful?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that. For this is very common. Now let's say you are a big accounting firm and you are getting a lot of invoices from your various customers. You get a lot of bank statements for your various customers, but they're all in PDF document formats. We are working with some companies where there are a lot of handwritten notes that are being written around. For example, when this company is doing the maintenance of the spare parts, the servicemen are actually handwriting the service details in a log card. But now we have to now do an handwritten recognition on these log cards and understand what is it that they're talking about. Many times they write in abbreviations, but we have to make sure that we understand what they mean and then push it to their enterprise system. These are the very common use cases, and it happens in all domains. It is in healthcare, it is in oil and gas, it is in accounting, it is in legal, it is in taxation, everywhere, manufacturing, everywhere.
And obviously, fraud's still a bit of a problem in this area as well, with invoicing and checks and that sort of thing. Are your systems involved in that aspect of it, understanding where fraud is and where it's exposed?
Yes, first of all, what it can do, look, once you are able to digitize the contents of these documents, then you are in the digital world, and then things become much more easier. So, a comp analysis between what you read and what you have will immediately give you the errors that could possibly be there in the data that you're either reading or the data that you currently have. So, that will immediately help you understand or correct whatever data issues that you might have with your environment. But more importantly, many a time what happens is fraudulent activities happen, and an AI can detect patterns of such activities. For example, if somebody is consistently billing at a different rate than what they are supposed to be billing at, or for different activities that they are not supposed to bill for, a human eyes may not be able to detect that consistent pattern, but an AI can, and it can come up and say, hey, by the way, this guy has been billing for these items for the last 6 months, which were not actually supposed to be billed, and whatever. There could be some business rules there, but that's why for such fraud detection, AI can just do wonders.
Yeah, good to know. And obviously, there are so many bits of technology out there now, DJ, aren't there? And I think people find it somewhat overwhelming when companies are trying to sort of drill it down to my return on investment for these initiatives. What is Third Eye's approach to helping organisations to identify the value they're going to get out of these things?
First of all, when we actually undertake a project for our customers, we evaluate or we judge the success of the project by making sure that the project is actually consumed by the business for which we stood the solution up for. No?
Right.
So what we do is we try to make sure that the solution that we are building for them is actually helping them derive some business objectives, get some business benefits. We try to make sure that that alignment happens, but more importantly, we also kind of evangelize with them and their employees if needed or and if approved around the data culture aspects of it. Yes, building technology is the easy part actually. Building processes around the technology's consumption is a little bit difficult part. But the most difficult part is getting people on board who can follow the processes and use the technologies and hence can come up with very discrete value for the company. So those are the things that we have to really undertake to ensure that whatever technical solutions we built are actually being business value to our customers.
Got it, got it. And obviously there are a lot of data science companies out there nowadays. What do you think is the kind of sweet spot of what makes Third Eye different? Is it the audience you target? Is it the approach that you take? Is it the technology you use? Where's the honey pot of Third Eye?
Actually, the honeypot, I believe, is not in our ability to build. I'm a technical person, 30 plus years in the industry. I started my life as a coder, so I know technologies inside out. But I really don't take pride in that knowing technology because you could build technical castles, but as long if it doesn't solve any business problems or if it doesn't give any business benefit to the company, till that time, these technical solutions don't mean a thing. So I think our sweet spot is our ability to make sure that the technical solutions are aligned with the business expectations. The technical solution give a definite business value to the company. It is all about that maturity of understanding that we have to ensure that companies derive business value out of whatever technical investments they make with us. So, as a technical
Yeah.
company, I'm saying that our value proposition is not our technology, but our ability to align the technology as per the business needs.
Got it. I mean, I know that Amazon used to have this phrase data asset value and data value management, where they were talking about putting if you like, a numerical value to the value they get from their data in their business. Do you think companies are valuing their data properly, and are they measuring that value properly?
It was much better now. It was quite bad earlier, but I really have to thank the AI, noise. There's a lot of noise for this new awareness about how they should really be valuing the data. So
Right.
I'm very happy to see the current focus of enterprises around data. I'm seeing a lot of people are actually hiring chief data officers. CDO is an actual title now in many companies across the sphere, So yes, I'm happy in the current state of this world where focus on data is more and more, and investments and funding is coming up.
Yeah, so you've actually seen a bubble, have you, as a consequence of AI around data?
Yes. First of all, there's an AI bubble. There's a lot of mis expectations out of AI. Though AI, the current AI technology, Gen AI, and all that are actually wonders, and they actually are doing a lot. But still,
Mm.
how to actually use that for business purposes, how to make it comply to the business processes, how to actually derive business value out of that remains a little bit elusive. So there's a lot of bubble there. Similar bubble I saw when the big data wave came in. Everybody was talking about all these various technologies that could possibly solve all big data challenges, which was not very true too. So the challenges still exist. The bubbles are not there anymore. Slowly, this AI bubble will also go away, and we will kind of settle down to actual realities of what AI can do. What would be the enterprise customers' expectations out of AI of helping them derive business value?
In your mind, what should the ambition be of the clients that you have around data now? What do you think? What do you think the kind of target should be around the use of their data?
Good question. The target should be every decision, business decision that they make should be data centric. Every person in the company should be leveraging data for their daily activities. That every avenue that they are exploring in terms of the business growth should be based on data landscape. So all in all, a more data centric world is what I'm talking about. A more data culture in that company is what I'm talking about, and technical investments in around data, having people certified who can understand data and can derive value out of that. Those kind of investments are seriously needed. Skilling is what I was talking about too,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
severely lacking. Severely, the number of good skilled people in data and AI in this world is so low. I'm so surprised. Universities are
Mm.
churning out people with all those fancy titles or degrees, but actually what they can actually do for the industry is kind of alarmingly bad. So there's a lot of skilling gap too.
That's an interesting conversation for another time. Certainly with I mean, I remember sort of going back to Pearl Harbor, and the guys that were looking at the planes coming across early on that Sunday morning. They saw the data. The data was already there. They just didn't believe it. And I guess my slight curiosity around this is that I get the impression organizations, if they're not careful, they're building a weight of fact around averages of data to the point that they're kind of avoiding having to make a decision themselves as managers and leaders, because they say, well, the data tells me to do this, without really looking at the outlayers and really considering the thought process. I mean, do you think, we could be running into a period in the next few years where effectively we need to retrain managers to question data more?
Yes, very good point that you brought in, and that's where my previous comment about skilling actually comes into the place. Even if you have everything around data, but if you do not have that knowledge and that experience to understand and interpret data and to expand your viewpoint and ask questions around, you will not be able to derive value. So as a human, you will definitely be assisted by AI as best as it can, and given the current environment and situations, but you definitely need to be well educated with data, with how to handle data, with the technologies that you have at your disposal for dealing with data. So that's why that education actually comes into this very much.
That's great. And DJ, for Third Eye, what's the future for you guys? What's your ambition next for the business?
Our passion is in solving business problems, and my ambition is just that. I just wish I could solve more and more business problems in much more better way, leveraging the best and the greatest and the latest technologies, and making sure that the total cost of operation is the lowest. So the best work at the lowest price, and so that your maintenance and ongoing support that's needed is as low as possible. That's my simple wish.
Great stuff. Good to know. A man that enjoys his job. So, DJ, I know you're going to be at the Generation Digital Magazine's annual conference, which is on the 24th of October this year. So, again, if anybody's watching the channel now and they want to meet up with DJ and talk to him about data, then that's a really good time to do it. DJ, for now, thanks for joining the podcast, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you for having me.